That's a new drone shot, isn't it? That's a new drone shot. Welcome to the show, Golf Sickos. I'm quite literally just sitting in my seat. A little bit of LA traffic this morning, a little bit of a chaotic start. As you can tell, I can't even speak words yet. Roses for Rosie. I like what they put there. Usually I can see it when I come in, but I just came in. Welcome to the show, Golf Sickos. This is Dan on Golf, presented by Knockaround, and I'm joined digitally by my man Ben Boscovich. He is somewhere on the East Coast. There he is. Wow, we're going for this is like very summer house, beach house aesthetic. You stay in some nice places on the road.
Yeah, we're making it coastal today because that's where I am.
Where are you?
I'm in Avalon, New Jersey.
Is that on the Jersey Shore?
On the Jersey Shore, like the farthest south you can go.
You ever go to Parker House?
No.
You've never been to Parker House?
No, but I'm sure everybody upstairs right now has. Okay, and they're watching the show and they're probably like, "What?"
There's only a few bars that I really want to go to, and the Harbor Bar was one of them. I managed to knock that one off in Port Rush. Parker House is another one. When I lived in New York City, I heard tall tales of Parker House. Ben, today
I can't have anything on Harbor Bar.
Ben, today I'm calling you my personal Basil from Austin Powers, because I feel like when I need you today, I can just turn to you digitally, but it's going to be just me here in the studio. We are going to start. We got a lot to cover today. We are going to talk about Justin Rose's big win. We're going to talk about Live Chicago. We're going to make Ryder Cup We're going to make Ryder Cup picks. I think I'm ready to lock my team. We've got a fantastic dog of the week, but let's start with Justin Rose. This was a win for the old guys. I'm pretty sure there were only two 40-plus-year-old guys who made it to the playoffs. I'm pretty sure it was just Lucas Glover and Justin Rose. I know that Justin Rose was the oldest winner so far this year. And I asked Justin at the Open at Royal Portrush, because he's been a sort of an interesting case study in golf in recent years. He is no longer the week-in, week-out presence that he was at his peak. He was number one in the world in 2018. Remember, he won the FedEx Cup when Tiger won the Tour Championship. It was the last year where they had the two winners. And he got to number one that year, not on a bunch of huge wins. He did win, but it was a consistency. It was like every single week he was up there. And he's not really doing that anymore. But, and it's a sizable but, a really big but, a huge but, a bubble but, some might say. The but is, on his week, he can still do it with anyone. And that's what he told me at Royal Portrush. And the sort of lens for the question was, I asked him about, he goes to Wimbledon every year. He's a big tennis fan. And I asked him about, it was the day after Sinner just absolutely worked Djokovic in the semifinal. It was like, 3 sets and done. And it looked like an older guy playing against a younger guy. And, Djokovic is up there in his 30s. Justin Rose is 45. And so I asked J.A. Rose, Novak gave a very revealing answer saying, this is, the last 18 months has been really difficult for me. I feel like age is starting to be an issue. And I feel like at the end of a long 2 weeks, I got to play 4 hours against a 23-year-old guy who's, at the height of his powers. I don't feel like I'm really dealing with a full tank. And Rose said, I totally understand. But what's cool about our sport is, number one, it's not at the end of a long 2 weeks. If you can find it for 1 week, if for 1 week you've got the feel with your hands, you've got a ball flight you can trust, and he's obviously been one of the best players in the world for more than 2 decades. He knows how to get the ball in the hole. On his week, he can still do it. And we saw that, the number one example I think of that was Phil Mickelson at Kiowa. I mean, that last major win, his sixth major, came out of absolutely nowhere. He was not a week in, week out presence, but the all-time greats, and Justin Rose is a Hall of Famer, they're able to do this. So the way he closed it out was incredible. So he bogeys 12 to fall 3 back to 12 under par. He then birdies 14, 15, 16, and 17. He hits 2 perfect shots into 18, just misses the birdie putt on the 72nd hole in regulation. First playoff hole, just barely misses a birdie putt again, hits the lip. Then J.J. Spaun pours in like a 30-footer for birdie on 17, which leaves Justin Rose with about 6 feet to answer. He makes that, and then it's a flip situation. He putts first. He makes the putt for birdie on the 3rd playoff hole. J.J. Spaun misses from just about 6 feet, and Justin Rose is your champion. And this is what he was talking about afterwards. Was it reminded me of Augusta, right? It was like it was a magical week for him, and he was in chase mode the whole back 9. And when this guy is in chase mode, he's not a guy you want in your rearview mirror. Remember, he almost ruined Rory McIlroy's Sunday at the Masters, and he was obviously overjoyed afterwards. Let's roll a clip from Justin Rose's press conference.
I've definitely played some good golf this year when it's mattered. Like I feel like my good has been good. My consistency hasn't been there, but I've been telling people that I feel like when I play my best golf, I'm able to compete with the best players in the world. And obviously today, proving that I can win against the best players in the world. So it's a gratifying day for me just to know that the hard work I have been putting in is not in vain. And I haven't really I felt so focused, I suppose, coming in today that I haven't really had a chance to actually enjoy this yet.
Yeah, he was so focused. He was so locked in, playing with his good buddy Tommy Fleetwood. These two are really close friends, and another near miss for Tommy Fleetwood. I wouldn't put this in the choke category, but I'd use another CH word, and that's chop. He just kind of chopped it coming home. So Tommy did not make a birdie in his first 11 holes. He was 1 over through 11. Then he makes a big birdie putt on 12, like a 30-footer. Makes another good birdie putt down the hill on 13. Big par save on 14 from about 7 feet after a very tentative putt. And then he makes birdie on 15. He's got a 2-shot lead, and you're thinking, this is it. This is finally going to be Tommy's week, especially after he hits it in the middle of the fairway on the par 5 16th, but then he blocks his approach, hits a really, really poor pitch, which we're going to talk about. We're going to break it down with Parker McLaughlin. Super funny. We had Parker on to do a short game breakdown probably a month ago. It was awesome. You guys loved it. We said we were going to do it every week. We completely forgot. Haven't done it since, but he's back this week. But he hits a really poor chip on 16. Actually has to make like a 7-footer for par on the par 5. And then from the middle of the fairway on 17, or not the middle of the fairway, I should say the right side of the fairway, and that's a crucial distinction because there was a little bit of a tree in his way. He was going to have to hit a left to right shot, and Tommy's a drawer. He's one of the few, the proud, the drawers that are still left on tour. And so when he had to hit the cut there, he just never really looked comfortable. It kind of stuck it in the ground, pulls it, doesn't get that up and down. So he doesn't birdie the par 5, and then he bogey 17, whereas both Spaun and Rose played those 2 holes in 2 under as opposed to 1 over. So there was a 3-shot swing right there. And then Tommy never really had a chance on 18, missed the green with his approach shot onto 18 as well. Let's hear from Tommy Fleetwood after the round.
Well, as long as they stay with me and stay on my side, then we can all look for the positives. Yeah, I'm lucky with the support that I get, and I have enjoyed. You know, I haven't been in contention much this year, and then Travelers obviously leading, and I felt like it was a great atmosphere, and I enjoyed playing in that atmosphere. And then today again, you know, I get the crowd on my side, and I love their support, and I'm so appreciative of it, and kind of, you know, on this journey together here. So. You just have to keep all these experiences, you know, and these close calls. Like I say, there's no point in making them or allowing them to have a negative effect on what happens next. I mean, what would be the point? It was a great week. I did a ton of good stuff, and as disappointed as I am, I have to find, you know, the strength to make it all a positive experience, and hopefully next time, you know, go again, put myself in that position again, and we just go again.
Yeah, it was a tough week for Tommy, but an incredible attitude as he always seems to have, and there's something to be learned there. Like, what's the point? Next time you feel a negative emotion, and golf is a lens for life, right? Next time you feel a negative emotion, ask yourself, what's the point? And I talk about this in my daily life. Like, what is it? Am I just beating myself up to beat myself up, or because if this is actually going to motivate me to do something different, then that's a different story. But if it's just being angry to just be angry, I'm trying to fix my thing here as I'm getting my first good look at it, then there's no point to it. So, yeah, we talked about Parker, teased Parker. So we're going to break down those short game shots. So all 3 of these shots happened on the right side of the par 5 16th. And I'll tell you from my experience playing in tournaments and now playing, you know, ball down, ball in hole every single round. So I feel like every hole is every time is a tournament. You know, I can swing when I'm nervous. I think, you know, you have your keys. It's still like a pretty, you know, you're exerting a lot. You're moving pretty quickly. You know, I don't have a problem swinging when I'm nervous. Putting, you know, I think you're making the same motion every single time. You don't really have to deviate with your setup or your key. You know, you're really just hitting a straight putt every time if you can break it down to that level. What I do struggle under pressure is with the short game. And I think when I watch these elite professionals, and it feels like they're moving in slow motion, but they're still adding speed at the right spot. That's how they generate spin. It doesn't have to be a fast motion, but you got to have speed at the right spot. And I've just found that short game is the hardest one to be in this sort of, you feel the nerves. Can you still, you know, take the club back and still have that syrupy transition, but also not go too far down at the bottom and not give it that extra right hand because, I don't want to chunk this, and still give it the speed at the bottom you need to generate the spin. It is very hard for me to hit short game shots under pressure, and that's what I talked to about with Parker McLaughlin. Let's roll it. All right, we are joined again by Parker McLaughlin, a.k.a. Short Game Chef. We did one of these like a month ago where we broke down a crucial short game shot that decided the tournament. And you guys all loved it, and we said, great, let's do it every week, and we promptly just forgot to do it. There's really nothing more complicated than that.
you went on like this incredible Irish trip that it's like you had to forget about work for a bit.
I had to forget, and then we tried to do it last week, and then there was literally nothing interesting that happened the entire round with Cameron Young. But there was a very interesting short game sequence that played out on the par 5 16th. So it's a reachable par 5 late in the round. Fleetwood is coming off a big-time birdie on 15, and he's in the middle of the fairway on 16. There's a little bit of water left. A lot of the guys bailed out right to this sort of collection area. Scotty's was on the fairway. JJ Spaun was on the fairway. Tommy Fleetwood hit his so far right that it was next to the grandstand, but he got a drop in a little bit of semi-rough, and we saw 3 very different outcomes. So walk me through what that kind of shot is, the difference between that shot maybe on a Tuesday in a practice round and Sunday with the tournament on the line, and kind of what you saw, because Spaun and Scotty got it up and down, and Tommy did not.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously the live plays a huge factor in it. Scotty and JJ were both in the fairway. Scotty almost on a slight bit of an upslope, so he was able to make, what looked like a very simple pitch shot motion. So slight open face at address and just making kind of a body motion back and through, was able to get a little bit of check on his golf ball, ended up 3-4 feet to the right of the hole, maybe 5 feet. And
also because he was able to get a little bit of that check, he didn't have to worry about height as much.
Exactly. And I think one of the things that these players look for is 2 things. They're looking for, am I going to stop it with height or am I going to stop it with spin? That's really what they're looking for when they get over these short game shots. And your lie plays a huge part in that. So if you're in the rough, you're not going to be able to stop it with spin. You have to stop it with height. So as we go over to Fleetwood, looking at his shot, he's now in the first cut of rough, which is not terrible. And actually, like, you look back at, like, Phil Mickelson, what he would say about hitting these, like, wedge shots, these fuller wedge shots from the first cut of rough, and it actually spins more. It comes up half a club short. But when you're near the green inside of 30 yards, it takes a lot of that spin away. And so he was not able to generate the same amount of spin as JJ and as Scotty, right? So now he's not able to generate the spin. He tried to go up with it, but he couldn't go high enough. And that ball just kept running all the way off the green.
And he couldn't go high enough because obviously he's capable. Is that shot where you have to really add speed and you know that there's something long? Is that one of those shots that's harder when you're under the gun on Sunday?
Yeah, 1,000,000%. On a Tuesday, he would have, like, taken a bunch of hands, thrown it quite a bit at it, used a bunch of wrists, and, like, really tried to add some speed at the golf ball. And he probably would have pulled it off and spun it on a Tuesday. On a Sunday, when you're trying to win your first PGA Tour event, you try to mitigate the risk a little bit more, right? Because if you build all that motion and then throw it really hard at it, something bad could happen real quick. And so he's trying to mitigate a bit of that risk. And so he's playing somewhat of a safe shot and trying to get it somewhat high enough to be able to get it to stop. Unfortunately, newer greens, that ball is not reacting the way that it would in previous years. And so he had to take on much more risk to kind of achieve that shot and get that thing within 5-6 feet.
Good stuff. Hopefully we will remember, and it won't be another month until we do this again.
Let's do it again, bud. Let's send it.
Okay, sounds good, dude. See ya. Okay, a few more notes on the week. So Rory McIlroy opted to skip the first playoff event in Memphis. He was second in the FedEx Cup standings going into the first week. He skipped. He's second going into the second playoff event. So I think Rory's decision on a Rory level is validated. But I also think it speaks to, our proposal from last week from Rick Gehman about what if we just made this a straight playoffs and the top 50 moved on after this week, just on the leaderboard, and the top 30 move on after this week, and there's no point stuff going on. That way Rory couldn't skip. And also, I compiled a list of the guys who finished outside the top 50 this week, but are still making it through based on how strong they played throughout the season. These are the guys who if the new format was the new format, would have been eliminated, but are still going to be able to play this next coming week. Ryan Fox, Corey Connors, Chris Gotterup, Sam Stevens, Jason Day, Michael Kim, Shane Lowry, Tom Hoagie, Brian Campbell, Daniel Berger. Would the tour collapse if those guys didn't make it to next week because they had a bad week in the playoffs, in the first playoffs? The Scotty Schefflers, the Justin Thomases, you got to just finish in the top 50 of the top 70. Most of the best players would get through no matter what. And if you have a bad week at the wrong time, you have a bad week at the wrong time. Scotty Scheffler was never going to finish outside the top 50. He finished one shot out of a playoff. He's not going to finish outside the top 30 this week. It's just not going to happen. So I think this is evidence. This playoffs with Rory skipping and with this group of guys finishing outside the top 50 but still moving on, the most of the blue chip players are still moving on because they finished in the top 50 of 70. That's not like a crazy ask. You just got to not finish in the top 20 out of a 70-man field. I like Rick's proposal. I think we're making moves to go in toward a true playoffs. Some guys who missed it, who will have to work for signature events next week, who finished outside the top 50. Jordan Spieth finished outside the top 50. He's been talking about how he feels like he's going to have a huge year next year. It's a great attitude to go into next year, but he got a bunch of sponsor invites into signature events, same as Ricky Fowler. We're going to talk about that in a bit, but Ricky Fowler made the playoffs. Jake Knapp missed it. I keep going back to those two finishes that he had at Cognizant where he tried to play that ball out of the water. Twice, I think, unsuccessfully. And then just a couple weeks ago at 3M, when he decides to go for the miracle shot to try to make eagle, he ends up hitting it in the water. All of those points, especially when you're up near the top, all those points end up mattering. And I do wonder if it's part of the reason why Jake decided to make a caddy switch, that Looper Island stays spinning. There's so much going on, guys. Tony Finau's using Tim Tucker, who is Kurt Kitayama's old caddy. Kurt Kitayama won his event recently with his brother on the bag because Tim Tucker had already left him and went to go work 1 week for Bryson, because Bryson's full-time caddy, Greg Bodine, had a family thing. Now Tim Tucker has moved over to Tony Finau's bag. Who was Tony Finau's caddy 2 caddies ago? Was Greg Bodine. Who is Tony Finau's caddy now? I can't even think. It's Tim Tucker. Okay, and Tony Finau's, I'm a little over the place, but that's the nature of Looper Island. Tony Finau's most recent caddy is Mark Urbanek, who's now working for Colin Morikawa. So it just keeps on spinning. But back to Jake Knapp. He's now hired Joe Greiner, who was Max Homa's old caddy, who also worked a little stint with Justin Thomas and with Colin Morikawa. And I asked Jake why, and he said, I still have a lot to learn. And, I've known him forever. But saying I still have a lot to learn, I think is interesting. Jake plays a balls to the wall style. He's always going for the win, going for broke. But 2 years in a row, those shots at the end of tournaments really do matter. Aldrich Potgieter was the big loser this week. He was the one who started the highest on the list, who is not advancing. And then 2 other guys who missed it. Minwoo Lee won early this year, didn't do anything after the win. A really poor major season. Honestly, didn't play that many times. Played 17 events this year. Finished near dead last. So Minwoo's season is over. And then Wyndham Clark. Wyndham Clark was hoping to get hot in the playoffs, and I think his Ryder Cup chances are now gone. One guy who did make it, and people have some really spicy takes on this, and I'm going to bring in Ben in a second here, is Ricky Fowler. So Ricky Fowler finished tied for 6th, 48th in the points, but Joe LaMagna over at Fried Egg Golf, not a fan of this situation. So he says, for as distasteful as the Spieth invites have been, the situation with Ricky Fowler is magnitudes grosser. That is really strong. That is just really, really strong. Fowler barely snuck in the top 70, blah, blah, blah. Try to spin sponsor exemptions any way you want. I've heard the arguments, sponsors from the tour, they can do whatever they want. Sure, they can. It is an accepted practice within the current structure of the PGA Tour. Is that how the tour should run, though? How do you message the tour membership that the only thing standing between the players and full access to the top tier of PGA Tour events is strong performance, while also allowing sponsor invites to dictate careers? Play better? Yeah, tell that to Chris Kirk, who finished 51st in the FedEx Cup standings on 0 sponsor invites since he qualified for every signature event this season on merit. The best version of the PGA Tour is the most competitive version. Eliminating sponsor exemptions as signature events would be an effective step in that direction. Ben, I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I think we've said this before, right? The first argument for not eliminating sponsor exemptions is you still have to play well in those sponsor exemptions. You can't miss all those cuts and just get rewarded for it. Look at Jordan Spieth on the other side of the line. Ricky makes the top 10 this week. He's got a couple of top 25s in those sponsor exemptions, I believe. So he lived up to what they were asking him. But I think the larger argument is that in the year 2025, if you can't acknowledge that professional golf is a business that exists in a capitalist society, then I don't think we can even have this debate. It's very obvious why those guys get the exemption. It's not just because they're corporate partners, Jordan's and Ricky's, are involved in those events. Is because they draw crowds. They draw tune into the broadcast. And a lot of the young kids that grew up falling in love with Ricky Fowler and his youthful energy, those are 35-year-old dudes with disposable income now. They want them to buy those tickets and go to the Truist. So I think it's kind of silly to stand on a moral high ground and call it gross when it's very obvious what's going on. It's not even an elephant in the room. Just acknowledge it and be hey, maybe if our sport continued to be more and more financially successful, that's good for everybody that's attached to the sport, not just the Soul Brothers who want everything to just be about competition. So I think it's kind of like easy to make the argument that they made if you're just ignoring the fact that like capitalism is a thing.
Yeah, I do see his point though, because I think the tour is trying to like distance himself from like the live where live golf, where it just seems like they just invite whoever they want to invite and there's no actual meritocracy. Obviously, it's not apples to apples, but and I think Brian Rowlap coming in, the new CEO of the PGA Tour, he comes from the NFL and he's talked about, well, I'm obsessed with the competition. It's got to, and I do think the tour, there is a marketing benefit for them to be like, there's no BS here. There's like, this is the best golfers in the world.
Sure.
You play, you earn your keep. And Matthew on X, CFB Expert 12, I always get my best, I do my best thinking in two locations. One of them is in the shower, and two with on X with a guy whose handle is CFB Expert 12. My genius, but I actually think this is a very good potential sort of middle ground. He says, I think they should leave sponsor exemptions, but those that get them don't get points that week towards the FedEx Cup. This way, sponsors can get guys into the events they have, but it doesn't help them secure points for next year. It's kind of interesting. It's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
They still get to play in the event. They still get to play for all of the money. They still get, I don't know if they would get world ranking points. World ranking is so fakakta, it's like hard to even think about the world ranking. But yeah, you could be like, well, why didn't he make the playoffs? Didn't he finish third in a signature event? Well, he was in on a sponsor invite, so he didn't earn his spot. It's an interesting middle ground. I could see
I'll take that. I would accept that. I'll shake hands with our friends at the Fried Egg if they would also accept that compromise.
Okay, understood. Good. I like when we all come together at the end. It's a nice, it's a kumbaya moment. All right, we're gonna hop into the Knockaround presented by Knockaround. These sunglasses, I was up at the U.S. Amateur on Saturday, the United States Amateur, I should say. United States Amateur. It's not U.S. Amateur. It's United States Amateur. Didn't need these. It was foggy the whole day. I brought them with me. These are the Brooklines. I brought them with me to Olympic and just didn't need them at all. But then now I'm going to some pretty sunny places. I'm going to Baltimore right after this show for the BMW Championship. I'll be in Atlanta for the Tour Championship. You better believe I'll have my Knockarounds with me. These are the Brooklines. These have been kind of my go-to recently, and we have a promo code for you. So if you go to knockaround.com/golf, that's where you're going to find all the golf sunglasses. Guys, you don't want a $200 pair of sunglasses that you're bringing with you to the golf course and you're sweating and you've got sunscreen on them and you're throwing them in your bag, you're throwing them in the cart. Stop spending too much money on sunglasses to play golf. And these are a companion. You don't want to feel like they're a precious metal. They're knockarounds. You're supposed to knock them around. And the quality, you don't have to sacrifice. We have a promo code. So if you go to knockaround.com/golf and you use the promo code DanOnGolf20, you get 20% off your first order, which brings these incredible sunglasses that would have been with me all the way on the PGA Tour, overseas to Ireland, everything. It's a ridiculously good price for a ridiculously good product. Mega Gane won the United States Women's Amateur at Bandon Dunes. Looked beautiful, incredible on TV. You'll be familiar with Mega from she's made an incredible run at the ANWA top 10. She was I think 11th in the WAGR going into this week. So a big win for one of the best amateurs in the world at a beautiful place. Anytime you watch that place, Bandon Dunes on TV, you're thinking, why don't they have majors there? Well, if you try to get to Bandon Dunes, then you'll understand why they don't have majors there. Stephen Allen wins the Boeing Classic on the PGA Tour Champions. It looks like an orb, like something. Remember, wasn't Trump like with the Saudis, like kind of putting his hand around something similar to that? If a Boeing Classic happens in the woods and Stephen Allen wins it, did it really happen? Live Golf Chicago. Dean Burmester won a three-man playoff over John Rahm and Yosele Ballester. Yosele, remember, obviously made a bunch of headlines at the Masters for the wrong reasons, but he's the reigning United States Amateur champion, playing on Live and having a lot of success. I've got a note about Live Golf. So John Rahm, this is they have their last week this week. It's the Live Indianapolis. It's their last regular season before they do their year-end championship. John Rahm can still win the individual crown, and I understand you get a certain amount of points for a certain amount of finishes. But I'm not a math guy. But Joaquin Niemann has won 5 out of the 12 Live events this year. John Rahm has won 0. And if Rahm wins the tournament and Niemann finishes 3rd, Rahm wins the individual crowd. Again, not a scientist, but if a guy wins 5 out of 12 tournaments, a guy who has won 0 tournaments probably should not beat him in the season-long race. And that's not even an anti-Live thing. That's reporting on Live as golf. That I would say the same thing for the PGA Tour. If we're doing this is a season-long points list. It would be like someone having a chance to win the FedEx Cup only before the playoffs, the regular season through the Wyndham, and beating Scotty, despite Scotty winning 4 times, the other guy winning 1. It just doesn't make any sense. We saw maybe the worst putt ever. Yeah, I think that was the headline, was the worst putt ever from Connor Sim.
Till him behind you.
Just watch this catastrophe. It's just way too much speed, and at this point, I don't know where his eyes are. I don't know if they're down. I don't know if they're up at the heavens. I don't know if he's given his caddy the look. Every caddy knows the look. He accidentally hit a 100-yard putt. And this actually made me think of Phil Mickelson at the at Shinnecock when he putted a moving ball, because it's, what is it, a two-shot penalty or whatever. I wonder if at that point he just wants to run down and knock it back up, or even take the two-shot penalty and just hit the putt again. Because having to go down there and get the wedge again, and it would look like a much more difficult shot. That golf course is really awesome. The Trump Scotland one, I played it outside of Aberdeen. I think it would be much higher on lists if it wasn't Trump. It's a beautiful place. And the winner was Grant Forrest. He got the win at Trump International Scotland, and then he got a call from the president. Let's roll that clip.
And he is some player. I look forward to playing with him. In fact, I'll play with him tomorrow if he can get on a plane right now. Get on a plane and come over here, Grant.
Mr. President.
I'm playing right now. I'm on a golf course, a beautiful one in Washington, D.C., Trump International. And I have very good players, but they're not like you, Grant.
Politics aside, he's funny. That is funny. A funny image of the President of the United States being like, I'm playing with some guys right now. You're way better than them. Number two, when he gets off that phone call, I wonder if Grant Forrest is looking at the person being like, so am I going to America tomorrow? That was sort of like, that's like, oh, we should go play. Oh, I'm playing tomorrow. So, like, are we playing tomorrow? Like, how's that? I'm just wondering if Grant Forrest, because when the president asked you to play golf, he was just asking it as like a flippant aside. But Ben, do you think that he's like, do you know what I'm saying? There's a little bit of ambiguity there.
I think he's going to get ghosted. I think that's the exact kind of invite. You like show up like with bells on to Trump International, and then he's like, sorry, bud, like cabinet meeting. Yeah,
I got to see Putin today in Alaska. You know, it's just something got in the way. Yeah. The Pinnacle Bank Championship was won by Christo Lamprecht. So Christo Lamprecht, you guys remember, he was leading the Open Championship after one round. I think he shot 66. I want to say it was at Royal Liverpool when Brian Harman won. But big guy, played golf at Georgia Tech. He finished second in PGA Tour U, I think, to Michael Thorbjornsen. So he's playing on the Korn Ferry Tour, and he holed out from a bunker to win. Let's show that clip. How good is that? And then this, and then they go crazy. It's fun watching guys win on the Korn Ferry Tour because it's such a life changer. This brought him up to 10th in the standings, top 20. Get it? It's getting late on the Korn Ferry Tour, so that's an absolutely huge win for the career of Christo Lamprecht. And then Brandon Valdez, another PGA Tour U kid. I played and stayed in touch with Brendan. Went down there to Auburn. He was a senior when I went. Jackson Coyven was also played in that video, and so did Josiah Gilbert. So you should watch that one if you hadn't. Three of the best amateurs in the world. He's obsessed with bowling. Let's roll the clip.
If you could go pro in another sport, what would it be?
Bowling, 1,000%. I'm a bigger bowler than I am golfer. Really? There's a good chance that in a few years you won't see me out here. You'll see me on the PBA.
So how good are you of a bowler?
Well, you know, I'm getting there. I'd like to say that I've put some quality time and effort in. I travel with bowling balls. I'd say Preston Summerhays might be the best out here, though.
It's like, what's your best score then?
268. 268 is my best. Yeah. Okay. Few days ago, I actually got that one. I was pretty hyped up.
So you travel like airport to airport with your bowling gear?
Absolutely. It costs a lot of money. But you know, it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. I just have to hope that I play well week to week out here so that I can pay for my bowling addiction.
So where are you bowling out here? Are you just finding random bowling alleys?
Absolutely. I've probably been to 20 bowling alleys in the past month and a half, I'd say. Yeah.
That's impressive.
I bowl at bowling alleys. If there's one thing that you would tell someone not to bring on an airplane, bowling ball might be in the top 5. If there was like a family feud of things not to bring on an airplane, I think a bowling, just because of how much weight and the weight per volume, it's an absolute nightmare to travel with bowling balls. But this kid's he's got some personality. I like when he said, "You're going to see me on the PBA," and then he looked right in the. He knew what he was doing there. I like Brendan Valdez.
You watched. Yeah,
exactly.
Who knew there was a bowl sicko?
There's a bowl sicko. We got to go bowling with Brendan Valdez. I think that's something that we got to do. That's something in our future. Okay.
Some good wrist action there. You know.
Yeah, 100%. Well, actually, I would think it would maybe make you hit draws, and he's a big cutter. Maybe it's different enough that it doesn't matter. Okay, we're going to move into our preview of the United States Amateur. I was up at Olympic Club on Saturday. Awesome day of filming with my guy Daniel. It was super foggy. It's my first time at Olympic Club. What a property. They got 45 holes. They got the ocean, the lake, and the cliffs. it's an iconic place. I feel like it's a shame that there hasn't been a major championship there in 13 years, but the PGA is coming back very, very soon. Olympics seems to be kind of in the PGA rotation now, but they're having a big USGA championship this week. And I did a couple of one-hole lists where we walk a hole with a guy and interview them through the process. We did one with Michael Lasasso, so you'll know this kid. I call him the Paul Skeens of golf. Got that country strong look with the gold chain. His quads are insane, and just a ridiculously athletic and very, very modern golf swing. He's the reigning NCAA champion out of Ole Miss. We'll be playing in the Masters, and he just signed an endorsement deal with the Bob Does Sports. Have a day, guys. Here I am with Michael Lasasso.
Hey, I'm Michael Lasasso. Come play a hole with me.
So the Have a Day sponsorship, how'd that come to be?
Yeah, so my agent's from Jacksonville, Florida, and he's very good friends with the Bob Does Sports guys.
Okay.
And so, like, I love watching their stuff. I think they're hilarious.
They are definitely hilarious.
And so he kind of just came to me and he was like, hey, like, I got a pretty sick proposal for you. Like, would you want to, like, pair up with them and wear their hat this summer? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, why would I not? So I have it with them through, like, my whole amateur career. So, like, I'll be ripping them. I got a few starts lined up in the fall, and then a couple in the spring.
Yeah, so we're going to see you Have a Day on Magnolia Lane?
Yeah, so hopefully they can, we'll do like a custom line there and try and like help push it for them.
Have you played with them?
I have not, so actually I'm going there after this. So after the USAM, I just signed a deal with Atlantic Fields, which is also in Jupiter.
Okay.
And so we're actually going down. They have like a tournament they're doing, and they asked for me to come out. So I'm gonna go play in an event with them after this. So that's like the 18th and the 19th, and then I'll get a good look at Atlantic Fields.
What's the number here?
129.
So like a gap wedge for you?
Yeah, 50 goes 130 yards. Check where the wind is. So it's west-southwest today, so that should be almost like straight down. And they look pretty firm.
Yeah, it looks like maybe like land at like 125.
Yeah, I like that. Might have to get you on the bag this week.
Yeah, I'm open for it. So these quads that get so much attention, what % of that is natural and what % of that is like we're doing squats in the gym?
So I actually was a meathead in high school. I had a good group of guys that I was like working out with back in the day.
You guys just like slugging C4 and just lifting weights?
Yeah, actually, it was probably not too good for a developing brain, but there's a little bit of a caffeine addiction in high school. But then like kind of started to get like it was almost unbalanced. Like my legs have always been huge, so I played baseball when I was younger and worked out a ton with that. And then my uncle is a head strength coach for the Carolina Hurricanes, which is a hockey team.
I know what that is.
Yeah. And so like hockey guys are huge on lower body, and so I kind of was under him for a little bit in high school and middle school, and then over time, like I was like, all right, like I kind of need to round myself out. Can't just be like 90% lower body.
I love that kid. He's got a star power. Very excited to watch him this week. Players underway at the Olympic Club. First round today, second round tomorrow. One round on the lake, one round on the ocean, and then the top 64 out of the 312 players in the field. We'll move on to match play, and then we start the marathon. I'm going to bring on Brentley Romine to help us preview the United States Amateur. Brentley, give us your favorites. I mean, Lasasso has had a lot of starts on the PGA Tour this year, hasn't done as well as Jackson Koiven. I imagine Jackson's going to be part of his list. Who are you keeping an eye out for this week?
Yeah, well, I think Michael Lasasso might be the first USAM champion, potentially with a gimme and gulp hat. So we have that to look forward to potentially on Sunday. But no, I think Jackson Koiven probably rightfully is the favorite coming into this week. 2 years ago, he made the quarterfinals at Cherry Hills, which I think is more of a similar setup than we saw last year at Hazeltine, where he missed the cut for match play. And I think when Luke Clanton made that run at the end of last year, it was so unprecedented that we didn't think it would be matched in a while. And Jackson's come out and he's finished top 11, 3 straight PGA Tour events, led the field in driving or strokes gained off the tee at the Wyndham, finished 5th there. So you combine that. I played Olympic a few weeks ago. You were out there, obviously, a couple of days ago. That rough's nasty. It's cold. The fairways are extremely difficult to hit with how much slope and how much cantering's on them. So, you combine that skill with him off the tee in his putting. I think he's probably the best putter in college golf, at least amongst the elite guys who could win a tournament like this. And I think he's rightfully, the favorite. But you add Ethan Fang, who could become the first player to win
this would
the
be
U.S.
pretty
Amateur.
sweet.
Yeah, I mean, so he could be the first U.S. British Am champion in the same year since Bob Dixon all the way back in 1967, who also played at Oklahoma State. So, yeah, I mean, that would be a cool storyline. It's always funny, right, how the storylines always kind of play out, and we get stuff that we can write about and talk about.
That was my first time spending some time around Koivu since I was at Auburn last year. It was amazing. He looks more like a man. Like when I went down to Auburn, he had already won all the awards as a freshman, but he was such a little kid. Like he just, he's grown physically. He's added some strength, and I asked him, and this will be coming out later this week, our video with him. But he said he hasn't really had to do anything. He's just getting stronger. He's just growing up, and we forget, he's 20. And when I saw him when he was 19 at Auburn, he looked that age. And I don't know if he's 20 or 21, but he's still a developing kid. So yeah, he's putting on. He's looking more and more like a tour pro. So talking about the Walker Cup. So the Walker Cup, obviously you want to play the Walker Cup every time it comes around, but I think it's Cyprus. It's a little bit more special. So how many guys are on the team? Who's locked up? And then what's the bubble looking like?
Yeah, so I just published kind of like a breakdown of what guys need to do who still aren't on the team. But to kind of break it down, because probably a lot of people don't know, there's 10 spots. 5 are already spoken for: Michael Assasso, Jackson Koivu, obviously Ben James, who will be a 2-time Walker Cupper. He played a couple years ago at the old course, and then Preston Stout, Ethan Fang, 2 Oklahoma State teammates. They were kind of named in that second wave, so that leaves 5 spots open, and 1 spot will go to the winner of the USAM if they're not already on the team. And of course they are American. We're not going to put a Australian on the team. Although Josiah Gilbert is a potential player.
Josiah, man, you want to tell you, he is in Australia. He was very Australian when I went to visit him at Auburn, and now he's got the U.S. flag next to his name.
It's funny how that works, right? I think that could potentially work against him. But 5 spots. I'm assuming that the USAM champ will probably either be international or on the team. 1 spot will go to a mid-am, which I mean, you'll love this. This is interesting because the last 4 Walker Cups, Stuart Hagestad has been like the no-brainer lock to make the team.
But he was always like in the top 15, top 20. He's dropped a little bit in the rankings, hasn't he?
Yeah. So, and some of that is due to he had some elbow tendonitis last year. Got knocked out by Will Davenport in the second round of the U.S. Mid-Am. But Evan Beck had an unbelievable year a year ago. He won pretty much every Mid-Am event you could win: the Coleman, the Thomas. Won the U.S. Mid over Bobby Massa last year. But Evan Beck has kind of been protecting the points, Dan. I mean, he hasn't played other than his 2 major starts. He missed the cut. He's dropped. Stu's only like 6 spots behind him now. Stuart Hagestad made
match play. Right. He played pretty well at the Western.
Yeah, so that's hard to do. To make match play at the Western Amateur, like the USAM's a very grueling event. The Western might be even tougher. I mean, 4 rounds of stroke play. If you want to win that, you got to win, 4 matches as well. So that's like 8-9 rounds of golf, adding the practice round. And I think Stu, he's healthy. His game's obviously in a great spot. He was top 10 at the Northeast Am as well. So I'm all in on Stu. And then there's a handful of guys, and it's all dependent on kind of what they do, from a Tommy Morrison to Jack Turner from Florida, who you've played golf with.
Both of those guys. I'm starting to know all these guys that you're talking about. We play with Tommy, play with Jack. I want to ask you though. I do want to zoom in on the Josiah Gilbert situation. So Josiah is the number 12 amateur in the world, he's the number 10 American. So 10 of the top 12 are American. So if it was just straight off Wagger, he's certainly in the conversation. But as we talked about, born and raised in Australia, he reclassified to play under the American flag earlier this year. Do you actually think that works against him, that it wasn't a Team USA guy all the way growing up?
Hey, if it doesn't, it absolutely should. And I think fortunately for everyone involved, he hasn't played that well this year. Obviously had some moments last fall where he was probably one of the best, 6-7 players in college golf. But what he's done this spring, he's tailed off a little bit. I think the stress of trying to make the Walker Cup team this summer has gotten to him. I've talked to his college coach at Auburn, Nick Kleinert. he kind of shared with me as much. He really wants to make this team, but when you have guys like Tommy Morrison and you have a Jay Summy, who's we didn't even mention him. He won the Western Am. He's a lock to probably get one of those 5 spots as well. Miles Russell, who could become the youngest player ever by 4 days to play in a Walker Cup. Tyler Watts, another high schooler. There's just so many names.
But like, if it's close, you're saying the fact that he switched to be an American this year. I mean, definitely the other kids are going to be like, well, this guy's not even an American.
Yeah, I mean, I think so, and it's so strange because we know how the Ryder Cup team is assembled, right? You got points, you got captain's picks. The USGA, the captain doesn't even select the team.
I feel like it's like a shadowy boardroom somewhere.
Oh, I really would love to be a fly on the wall in that boardroom and
when they talk about
what goes into it. Oh, well, it's got to be. It's got to be. Like, it's got to be a topic of conversation. Well, it's got to go.
And like the Walker Cup selections, because they are so political, like you'll get guys like, I know Sam Burns, like he feels like he was snubbed to not make his Ryder Cup team, and like still bothers him.
No. So people always say that. Sam Burns will say that he'll go to his grave thinking that. Scotty Scheffler and Will Zalatoris were the last 2 guys on the team that year. Doc Redman obviously kind of threw a wrench in things by winning the Am, but Scotty was the low Am at the U.S. Open. And Will Zalatoris made the round of 16 at the USAM, won the Trans-Miss. All Sam Burns did was finish 3rd at the Barbasol and did not play that well.
Brently's got some heat.
No, it's one of those things that I think has been it's canon now that he was a snub, but he was absolutely not a snub. And I will tell that to him, every time I see him.
So obviously one of the cool things about the US Amateur is you got kids, you got old guys. I mean, I saw a guy out there who looked like my dad's age. I looked at he's 61 years old. Brown won the US Senior Am. He was really struggling to get out of the rough. You've got kids. So highlight some of these, feel good or sort of off the beaten path stories of guys who, everyone starts at even this week. You never know.
Mm-hmm. So you're obviously familiar with the instructor Dana Dahlquist.
Yes.
And he's got a kid who's a member at Olympic Club named Jacob Good. He just won the Cal State Amateur. But the interesting story about him and Cameron Jordan of Golf Week wrote a really good story that just posted yesterday, so people can go check that out. But the gist of his story is, he was basically a student at the University of Washington for 3.5 years. And he kept trying to email Alan Murray, the head coach, and
I've been there.
Hey, can I try to walk on? Can I get an opportunity to prove myself? No response. But funny enough, once you start getting a little better, once you start winning tournaments, Alan Murray finally gave him a shot. And, he's been a crucial part of that team, last semester. And he's got one more year there. And, and
he's the reigning club champ at Olympic Club.
It's the knowledge is there. The game is there. I think he could make match play. He doesn't really have like that God-given talent, the firepower that some of these guys have. But I definitely think, he's probably the best story. Our guy, Dick Tedder from the Open from Estonia, he's playing. The kid hits it a mile. He's got a great attitude. I'm looking forward to see what he does. And then our guy, John Daly II.
Yeah.
It was one of those things like 4 or 5 years ago. It was almost like a Charlie situation. It was like, yeah, we know he's the son of a major champion, but how good is he really going to be in college? John Daly II, he won the Southern Am. Granted, it was at his home golf course, Blessings Golf Club. But he's had a really great summer. He's going to be one of Arkansas's best players his senior year coming up. So he could make match play. Max Grazerman, the PGA Tour player, both of his brothers, Reed and Dean, are playing. They've won. I think Dean won the Met, Reed won the Florida Am, the Ike. So they're both playing well. And then I'll close with some kudos to the USGA. I always love to kind of pair together last names and themes. They're and kind of get silly with things. They have a grouping for stroke play. They tee off this afternoon. William King, Pavel Sar, and Keenan Royalty. So the
Sar, King, and Royalty.
The royal threesome.
Yeah. I would not want to be a rules official who walks up to give that. They'd say, "Off with your head." I can't let you go without hearing your pick, and then I also want you to ask me who my pick is.
All right. Well, I'm going to go Max Herendeen from Illinois.
Okay.
A guy who's probably further off the Walker Cup bubble than he would have wished, but he's played well in big time events on big time golf courses. He's a Pacific Northwest guy. I know the San Francisco Pacific Northwest, it's close enough.
I'd say weather-wise, it is. It's turf-wise. It was crazy. I was, because my sister lives downtown. I stayed with my sister. It was like so sunny, and then you get out to like sort of the Daly City area where all the golf courses are. Like Olympic Club is right there, and obviously San Francisco is right there, and Harding Park, Lake Merced, and it's like you don't see the sun all day. It's fog the entire day. So I definitely think Pacific Northwest counts.
I think you're perennially in like a cloud.
Yeah,
in that
it's
part
cool
of,
as hell.
San Francisco.
You can definitely tell where the wind's going because just look at the fog.
Yeah, so I like Max. I think I don't like to go chalk, and I think he's just he's just elite enough to be able to win.
Okay, so you went with the number 17 amateur in the world. My pick to win the United States Amateur is Luke Potter, number 32 amateur in the world. And the reason why is because it would lead to potentially the funniest first round Masters grouping of all time. The reigning champ at the Masters is always paired with the U.S. Amateur champion. We could get Rory McIlroy with Luke Potter, Mr. Phone, and Rory took his phone. That would be incredible content. So I'm rolling with Luke this week. I also play with him. He's a great player. He's top 35. I'm going with Luke Potter. You're going with Max Herendeen. It's going to be awesome. Thank you so much for doing that, Brentley.
I love that pick, Dan. Thanks for having me on.
Cool. See you, man. All right.
See ya.
Rank 'em blind ranking, whatever you want to call it. Ben, it was a great topic last week. I'm gonna can I give you honesty button? I'm gonna give you honesty button. Here's the honesty button.
Yeah, please.
The clues themselves were lacking. A little bit, and that's okay. You know what? Accountability is the best ability, right? So we learn, we read the comments, only some, but we read the comments and then we move forward.
Yeah, unfortunately, we agreed with some of the commenters last week, but we're going to try to make up for it this week. Dan actually pitched me this topic, although he doesn't know any of the answers here, but I think it's a brilliant topic. So let's hope I made some nice choices here. Let's kick them off.
Well,
Rank them blind.
Yeah.
Announcer cliches.
So things that you hear if you watch as much golf as we do. I was on the stream for 3 hours yesterday with you guys. You hear all of these cliches. I can't wait for this one. I'm gonna get some angry. I'm gonna get some angry text messages from Big Golf Media after this.
Oh, I hope so. Let me in on that. All right, let's kick it off with. This is a nice topic for what we just came off of. You're going to be seeing a lot of this guy out there in the next few years.
You're going to be seeing a lot of this kid over the next few years. You're going to be seeing a lot of him the next few years. I wish they would have showed Jackson Koiven a little bit more at the Wyndham, so maybe we would have seen a lot of this kid in the next, 3 hours instead of the last few years. I'm putting this number 5. It's not the worst one. It's not the worst one I've ever heard, and maybe they use it a little bit too much. But when you get these young, phenoms like a Clanton and like a Koiven, I think it's fair to say I'm putting that number 5.
All right, next up is one of my favorites. We've laughed about this together before. He's active out there on social media.
Oh, he's big out there on those socials. Nothing makes
social media.
Nothing makes an announcer sound older than when they talk about social media. He's a really fun follow on social media is another one. I'm putting that number 3, active on social media, active on the socials.
Shout out to our man Michael Kim here, who's very active on the socials.
He's active
whether
on
you
the
call
socials.
it X or Twitter.
Yeah, he's active on the socials.
All right, next up is an all-timer. This is maybe a Mount Rushmore. The reference to perspective after a player's first child is born.
What amazing perspective. I think just having a kid has really opened up his eyes to, golf's not everything for him anymore. He leaves the golf course and he leaves work and he goes back to his family. I'm putting that number 3. What an epic one. And I feel like golf Twitter really ruined it. But what's great is a lot of these announcers don't live on golf Twitter, so they say these things, they're completely oblivious. It's great. Number 4, perspective.
I know. It's fantastic. All right, this is your bugaboo here. This from a moment ago.
Number 10, worst thing ever. Just the worst thing ever. It's so bad. I've been on live broadcasts. I've had the producer in my ear saying this a moment ago, and you can just say, I'm not going to say it. A lot of the shots that they show are taped. If we're worried about lying to people, we'd have to lie to them way more to tell them, or we'd have to stop lying to tell them exactly what's going on in a broadcast. I don't understand why they say it. It's horrendous. It should be banned from the airwaves. This a moment ago is last, and I feel so good about it being last.
Easy number 10.
Easy 10.
If anybody's watching, please
just don't say
cut it out.
We'll be fine.
All right. Next, it's less of an announcer cliche and more of a professional golf tournament cliche. And that is, tell us what this means to corporation to host this great event.
Oh, we're talking about the CEO interview. Yeah, well, what we're trying to do at Megacorp is we're trying to inspire the next generation, and we think that golf is a fantastic way to do it. And, for us to be entrenched here in our community and to see all the faces, it's tried and true. They have to do it, though, for the sponsors. I'm putting that number 7. Tell us what it means to corporation. Okay, I'm going to show you where we're at. I'm just writing it down right now. At number 10, we have this a moment ago, firmly on the bottom there. I'd put it number 11 if I could. Number 7, tell us what it means to this corporation. Number 5, you're going to see a lot of this kid in the future. Number 4, the perspective talk after childbirth. Number 3, he's active on the socials.
All right, next up is another classic. He'd like to have that one back.
Yeah.
Or that's one he'd like to have back.
Yeah, that's one he'd like to have back. I'm putting that number 8. He'd like that one back. You know, I do feel for these people because they're on air for like 6 hours, and golf is like it's somewhat repetitive. So yeah, number 8 for me.
You held it together for that whole triple playoff yesterday. That was a long stream, man.
Yeah, it was a long stream. Nice but job. It was fun. We had a lot of people. It was fun. It was a good time.
All right, next up is discussing a player's caddy and saying, well, he's a great player in his own right.
It's the in his own right. It's number 2 for me because it's a phrase that you just don't really hear outside of this exact context, but you hear it nonstop. Oh, he's got John on the back. He's a great player in his own right. Played his college golf at Kyle. It's great. I love highlighting the caddies. Fantastic. We got to find another way of saying it rather than he's a great player in his own right. You could just say he's a great player. We know it's in his own right. We know we're not referencing him to someone else's golf game. Okay, we have
Excellent.
3 spots left. We have 9, 6, and 1.
All right, so you're saving your top spot.
Yes.
This is next one I'll call the Scotty Scheffler comment. He's a great player, but he's an even better guy.
Even better person, because it's number 1
we showed
for
Tommy.
Even better person might be number 1. It's like, is Scotty Scheffler, listen, he's a great person. He's a fucking all-time great golfer. Like, he's the number 3, or what, I shouldn't say that. Let's say he's the number 11 best golfer who's ever lived. Are we really saying that Scotty Scheffler is the number 11 human being who's ever lived? I'll take his golf game.
Jesus Christ, ever met him?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Gandhi, boy. MLK, like with that's a solid top 3.
Yeah, that is a nice.
We got 9 and 6.
All right, next up is he had the speed or line on that one. He just missed the line or speed.
Not my worst. Because we're trying to give a little bit of insight here. But yeah, I'll put that number 9. It's a good number 9. All right, what do we got for number 6?
And lastly is he couldn't have placed that any better. Yeah, he couldn't have walked up there and set it down.
Couldn't have dropped it in a better spot, because you hear that all the time in your normal game. Wow, this is a great one, Ben. You atoned yourself after last week. Atoned? I don't know if that's an active word.
Atonement.
You made up for yourself after last week. Let's run through the all-time announcer cliches. Number 10, this a moment ago, worst thing ever. Also, don't know what my criteria is here. I don't know if I like them more. Or
I think you like number 1 and you hate number 10.
Yeah, I think it's like what makes me smile versus what makes me angry. Number 9, he had the line, just missed the speed. Number 8, he'd like that one back. Number 7, tell us what it means to Megacorp. Number 6, couldn't drop it in a better spot. Number 5, you're going to see a lot of this kid coming up. Number 4, he's just got incredible perspective. That might have been higher on my list if I could redo it. Number 3, he's very active on the socials. You can follow him over there on X. He's very entertaining. Number 2, that caddy is a great player in his own right. And number 1, he's a great golfer. He's an even better person. Is he though? Because he's the number 1 golfer in the world.
He couldn't possibly be.
Is he the number 1 person on the planet? I don't know. Fantastic, Ben. Well done.
Thank you, Dan.
There's going to be adversity in life, and it's about how you respond to it. And I think you responded absolutely beautifully.
Yes.
All right, we're going to bring on another absolute staple of this show. Mr. Rick Gehman is back for Give Me a Winner. We only got 2 events left in the regular season. We were close with Scotty last week. How'd you feel about your picks last week?
Well, Dan, I'm just taking it one day at a time. And you're only as good as your next bet. I don't know what else.
What's great about this game is there's always another week. There's always another tournament.
There's always another week. There's going to be a winner on this Sunday as well. Yeah, listen, Scotty Scheffler finished his 1 shot out of a playoff. He was in it all day Sunday. Things didn't fall his way. It's all good. The Grillo and Fitzpatrick top finishing positions were okay. Grillo was, I think, started top 30 on Sunday and faded, and then Fitzy had that one bad round that kind of played himself out of it. But yeah, we're doing okay. I'm not going to be upset about it.
Okay, so walk us through this week. What do we know about Caves Valley? We did a little rewatch of Cantlay versus Bryson. That place got absolutely torched that year. Are you expecting the same thing?
I am. They've done a little bit of work to it since 2021, but I'm a little bit skeptical about how much they could have challenged this. You start looking at a lot of the aerial footage. There's trouble, but it's not close enough. There's water, but it doesn't feel close enough. The guys' shot dispersions are tighter than that.
Kind of reminds me of, there's a course in LA called Sherwood Country Club, and if you go out there and with bad golfers, they'll shoot literally a gazillion, because if you do hit it 50 yards offline, you're going to be re-teeing it. But then the pros go out there and torch it up, because a hazard that's 50 yards right of the fairway isn't really a hazard for these guys.
Hasn't Patrick Cantlay won at both Sherwood and Caves Valley?
He has indeed. You're falling for the trap again, but I want to hear your pick. Who is going to win this week?
Thank God he's not on the card. It's Cameron Young for me. And I know he just won a couple of weeks ago. I love the way his game sets up for this place. I think it's bombers and birdie fest, and very few guys bomb it and can get as hot as Cam Young. He's playing unbelievable golf. He's picked up nearly 15 strokes from tee to green in his last 8 rounds, and we know the putter can get scorching hot. He's back to committed to playing that like baby draw again, which is what his golf swing wants to do, and confidence at an all-time high. Still plenty to play for. Let's just roll Cam Young 30-1.
Yeah, he followed up his win with a solo 5th finish. All right, a top 20. You're going with the dog.
I am, yeah, Russell Henley. And if you look at Russell Henley's most 5 recent starts, they're all top 20s. And let me just rattle off the golf courses, because you're not going to find a through line on these golf courses. So Muirfield Village, Oakmont, River Highlands, Portrush, and Southwind. So
hitting it dead straight tends to play.
Yeah, exactly. Hit it dead straight, then knock the paint off the flagstick and make your putts. Like, that works anywhere in the world. Now, this is minus 175 is the number we got for this. The way that we normally do these is we just put like 1 unit on everything. So you'd have to adjust accordingly. You would probably not want to put the same amount on Cam Young to win this golf tournament as Russell Henley to finish inside the top 20 of a 50-man field. That's the way we do our accounting. But obviously, if you're taking these and running with them, you might want to adjust them a little bit.
Fair enough. Okay, one last one to bring us home.
Yeah, this is a prop. So we don't always delve into this market, but I liked it. And that is for there to be a playoff. We'll go back-to-back weeks at 4-1. So number one, you shrink the field, you get fewer number of players, you get less outliers, right? I mean, it's easier to win a poker tournament with 10 people than 10,000 people. There's just less outliers. You don't need to do as much. So we're not going to likely see as many guys run away from this. And I don't think Caves Valley is a golf course that allows guys to separate. I mean, everybody can make enough birdies. I think a lot more guys are live this week than there were last week with how that course is laid out. So I just think by the time we get to Sunday, there's a really good chance that a couple of these guys are tied at the top of the leaderboard. And at 4-1, it was one I couldn't pass up.
You're one of the only people I feel like that might travel more than me. Give us a little update on what you've been up to. You've been doing a lot of really cool stuff.
I do not travel more than you. I've just traveled a lot more. Like in the last 2 months, I've just been all over the place. Yeah, so I did some PGA Tour live. The last bet feed was for Memphis, but I did it from on site, which was pretty cool. The PGA Tour also did an on-site activation for their golf bet brand, which is their betting arm, for the first time ever. So I was a part of that. And then I will also be at the Tour Championship with you boys. I'm sure we'll make some great content there. But yeah, I've just been I played golf with John Daly last week.
How was that?
It's just, dude, exactly as you can imagine it was. I mean, he is a gem. He is not faking it. He is exactly as you, and he's like the biggest star in the world now with Happy Gilmore too. So he was in very good spirits.
Did you see? I don't know if you were watching this early, but so you've sold me on your proposal for the new FedEx Cup playoffs. I read out a list of the guys who would have been knocked out this week who are still moving on. Did you catch this?
I did not catch this. I hadn't tuned in yet, but I know that they were nobodies.
That's a little bit disrespectful. But Ryan Fox, Corey Connors, Chris Gotterup, Sam Stevens, Jason Day, Michael Kim, Shane Lowry, Tom Hoagie, Brian Campbell, Daniel Berger. Would the tour collapse if those guys weren't playing this week?
I think we would survive.
We would survive.
The more I thought about this, the more I really like it. So I'm in more than ever.
You're like, you're preaching the choir. I'm the one who proposed it. Good stuff, Rick. I'll see you in Baltimore, right? You're there.
No, I'm not gonna be in Baltimore. I'll see you in Atlanta, though.
I'll see you in Atlanta.
I'll see you here before then, but
okay.
I'll see you in Atlanta.
Fantastic.
All right, brother.
All
Take
right.
care, guys.
Our dog of the week this week is a very special guy to anyone who's crossed paths with him. It's Kevin Price, who's been working on the PGA Tour content team for a really long time. You will not find a person who loves the Korn Ferry Tour more than Kevin Price. This guy, he spends his own money to go to these tournaments because he just gets so lost in the drama of he wants to see a guy complete their dream. But the reason he's our dog of the week is he drove 12 hours from Jacksonville to Memphis because he had to be there for the bubble watch. He just had to be there for the bubble watch. He's now heading out to the USAM, so he's going from Memphis to St. Louis. And, most people, if they're doing something like this, they would make vlogs of it, and I put myself in that category. Oh, I'm driving 11 hours just for content. The only way we found out about this was Taylor Ryan, one of his coworkers at the tour, posted and said he would voluntarily make the 11-hour drive to Memphis for FedEx Cup bubble coverage. This guy's an absolute dog. If you drive 11 hours through the night to cover the FedEx Cup top 50, you might win our dog of the week. Here I am with just a gem of a person, Kevin Price.
Kevin Price of the PGA Tour. I'm very excited to officially present you with our Dog of the Week award. You are our Dog of the Week, which is handed out to someone who just shows dog attitude, dog mentality in and around the golf world. Tell me about your last 24 hours.
I appreciate that. You must have seen a tweet from Taylor Ryan. Shout out her, my colleague. But yeah, a couple days ago, I concocted this. I don't know how much detail to get into. It's kind of wild. I'll try to
want all of it. We can always
notes.
cut it in post, but I want you to yell as much as possible.
Perfect. So it was a convoluted plan where it basically worked backwards. In 2 weeks, I have my friend's wedding in St. Louis, and I'm covering KFT Boise next week. So I decided to drive to St. Louis, fly out of Boise, and then back to St. Louis because I wanted to have my car, bring my clubs, play some golf, bounce around. I love driving in general. So I reverse engineered this trip where I would drive to St. Louis and fly to Boise and back. And then it clicked that Memphis was only an hour or so out of the way. So it turned like a 14-hour drive into 15 hours, which at that point is all kind of the same. And I love
when did you, where do you live? Where do you live?
In Jacksonville, Florida. So
you drove from Jacksonville to Memphis when?
Friday. I left Friday at 1. I got to my hotel a little outside St. Louis, like an hour outside, little Quality Inn. Got it on point. Shout out. Yeah, because this part of the trip's all on my own dime for sure, for the love of the game. But they were nice enough to let me come work from the media center. I'm doing the social desk, so I'm not like really on-site coverage, but helping the team out a little bit. But yeah, it's great. It's awesome to be here. The bubble.
So
energy,
you drove to St. Louis or you drove to Memphis?
I drove from Jacksonville to Memphis, and then I'm driving to St. Louis tonight. 6 a.m. flight tomorrow from St. Louis.
6 a.m. And just because the bubble watch was just too good.
Yeah, it was just too good, too much in and out. I've never been to this tournament. I covered Wyndham last week, top 70. I was like, got to be here for the top 50 because it's really a 2-part bubble. Like the 70 is important, but it's really all about the 50 for getting in the signature events next year and playing your way onto the A Tour. So I felt like I needed to kind of experience that energy firsthand. Definitely crazy.
How many cups of coffee were consumed on that drive?
I fueled up before. I had like 3 at Panera before I drove, and then stopped at a couple truck stops. Probably only like 3 more, so like 6 total in that day. And then
so nothing crazy.
No, nothing crazy. I love truck stops, great chicken rollers and such that I pair.
Why do you think that you're so drawn to these like bubble watches and like Korn Ferry coverage? Because like maybe I'm just like something wrong with me. I gravitate toward like the big events and where I feel like you're part of a breed that you love the nitty gritty side of it.
Absolutely. I think growing up, I mean, we can go way back, but I was a big fan of this guy, Omar Uresti, who lost his tour card, never won on tour, was grinding it out on the Korn Ferry Tour. So I followed him on that, trying to get back to the big tour. And then I went out and did my senior college project about the KFT, which was then the nationwide tour, and wrote a short book about it. I've just always loved it. I've loved like the driving cross country, middle America. I'm a sicko for driving and Americana and road trips and stuff too. So that blends in well with the KFT and the players drive, the caddies drive, and that kind of ethos. I love my choice hotels, my Quality Inns. I kind of, stay away from Marriott's as much as I can. I just like the kind of the other side of it.
Marriott's are chuggy. They're played out, you know?
Totally, yeah. Overrated. But no, it's see, the emotion of chasing the dream and fulfilling the dream and getting tour bound, getting your tour card is like my favorite thing in golf. And so covering the lower levels all kind of ties to that. Just loving reaching the dream of getting a tour card.
Alex Bush told me that I can't let you go without saying no one circles the wagons like Kevin Price.
No one circles the wagons like Alex Bush. We're going to the Bills home opener together in a couple weeks. Gonna be a treat. Sunday night football against Baltimore.
I want to go. Where's my invite?
I know. Talk to Alex. He's the one.
Where's my invite? I can't get to Alex. I can't get an invite? That's crazy. All right. Well, thank you. You're dog of the week, Kevin. Congratulations.
Too kind.
Gifts in the mail.
I appreciate it.
It's not actually in the mail.
I'll look forward to it.
But,
well,
yeah, you can keep looking. You might be looking for a while.
Yeah. I'll check.
All right. Good stuff, man.
See ya.
It's one of those guys who brings a smile to your face. I don't know what's in the water up there in upstate New York, Buffalo, Rochester area. They're the nicest people on the planet. You know who are not the nicest people on the planet? The English. I'm only saying that because we're bringing an English guy on. Luke Dineen is joining us to do our Ryder Cup picks. I think we're probably ready to sort of lock in our teams. Luke, how we feeling?
I'm feeling good, Dan. How are you? I've got my European flag. I've got my Chelsea shirt to counteract your Man United bias. I'm feeling good today.
Yeah, you guys are, you world champions, right? The Club World Cup. Oh, spending a gazillion dollars. We'll leave the soccer stuff for the soccer content. All right, we're going to do what we've done throughout the year. We're getting closer now. Really, I think we should pretty much know. 11 of the 12 spot. The European team feels pretty darn secure. But we're going to go 1 through 12 like we normally do. I'll start. I'm going to go with Scotty Scheffler first. Great human being, even better golfer. He finished tied for third this week. In his last 12 events, he's got 4 wins, no finishes worse than tied for eighth. We've got the best player in the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, you do. But we've got the moodiest player in the Ryder Cup, Rory McIlroy. He's been up and down this year. He fulfilled his dreams. Then he hated everyone. Now he's just partying in France somewhere. But I think he's going to be up for it at the Ryder Cup. I think he's going to be really up for it, actually. So
I think he's been vindicated. He didn't even drop a single spot, and he probably had a fantastic week. And he kept all the weight, the water weight on for these guys probably lost 20 pounds in Memphis with the sweat. Number 2, I'm going Xander Schauffele. Strange year, hasn't even really sniffed contention, but a tie for 22nd this week. He actually was so under the radar. He actually finished, I think, 3rd or 4th in the cumulative major leaderboard. So I don't think anyone has doubts that Xander Schauffele is one of the 12 best Americans.
Yeah, I've sort of power ranked my European team, so I'm putting Tommy Fleetwood at 2nd. Happy for Rose. Wish Fleetwood would have won, but he's starting to dial in some stuff about his golf swing, which was amazing already. He's great in the Ryder Cups. I don't know if he's going to win this season, but could see him winning a Ryder Cup.
Absolutely, he's a shoo-in. I think he's mathematically locked. JJ Spaun. He's up to number 6 in the world rankings. He's in the top 10 in the data golf as well. And he's followed up that career-changing win at the U.S. Open. Pretty solid. T for 23 at the Open, and then solo 2nd at the FedEx St. Jude. I think that lab putter is going to become a bit of a mascot for Team USA. I think the people are going to get behind JJ Spawn's sort of gritty background. I think he's going to be rolling in putts with that lab. I'm going JJ Spaun, number 3.
I've got a guy similar build to JJ Spaun, but very different on the temperament scale. It's Tyrrell Hatton, who's just kind of a big game hunter. He really should have maybe won the US Open. He showed up again at the Open, played well. He is playing well on live. So, he's going to be he's become a real stalwart on this team when, if his career went a different direction, he could have been on the outside looking in, but that's not how it's going. He's top of the order.
Amazing viral moment potential when you got Tyrrell Hatton and the New York fans. It's going to be something to watch. I'm going with Russell Henley next. As Rick was highlighting, just silent assassin, another T17. Probably didn't get any TV time. He's got 5 straight top 25 finishes. He's number 5 in data golf. So, probably the best player that your casual golf fan might not be able to recognize as they walk down the street, Russell Henley.
I'm going with Victor Hovland, who's still working on his golf swing, but also really leaning into his hiking passion recently. He was hiking before the Scottish Open, a couple of weeks there, hiked between Memphis and after the Open. So I think he's just getting in touch with his spiritual side, kind of channeling his inner Viking. He's going to bring it to Bethpage, I can feel.
Dudes be hiking. I'm going with Bryson DeChambeau. Last 2 live starts, tied for 11th, tied for 13th. But he's been top 10 in 3 of the 4 majors this year. Kind of the anti-Joaquin Niemann. He's on the team. He's a lock. Keegan's already said that he's going to be on the team. He's going to be going crazy with the crowd. That YouTube video is going to smack Bryson DeChambeau.
It is going to be awesome. John Rahm is my next up. I feel like he's just perpetually under the radar these days, but he lost in a playoff last week. I mean, he's still John Rahm. You know, I think a lot of people who especially don't like Live, they just kind of ignore him, but this is still one of the best players on the planet. He's not auto-qualified, but he effectively is, right?
I think he'll play 5. I mean, I think it's like him, Rory, Tommy, Tyrrell. You guys have you have a real strong base of guys who are in their primes and playing great golf. I'm going to go with Harris English. He's probably going to make it on points. Depends how it goes the next couple of weeks. But 2 runner-ups in majors this year. This was his first start since the Open. He finished tied for 48th. But I think the 2 runner-ups and Harris is a really popular guy, an incredibly consistent ball striker who I think has shown up in majors big time, especially U.S. Opens. Bethpage has been a U.S. Open course in the past. I can see he probably won't play 4 or 5, but I could absolutely see Harris English, and I do see Harris English as a key part, sort of a role player on the team.
So I think Justin Rose kind of divided opinion, weirdly. He showed up in some big events, but not really on a week-in, week-out basis. But I think he obviously put all of that to bed last week. And it's undeniable that he does show up in big moments. I mean, this guy is such a pro. Anytime there's showed up at the Masters, he played for second at the Open last year. I don't need to recount his whole record. But what he did at the Ryder Cup last year, I think deserved a pick in itself, but now his recent form is just solidified.
Yeah, he's locked it up on points because of those big events. And he's talked about this. I'm not going to be as good as Scotty week in and week out, but on my week, I like my chances, and he will be rested. He will be ready. There's no motivation issue there. My next is Ben Griffin. He's just kept it up all year. He's played well enough to not really leave any choice. Missed the cut at the Open, but the good news is that we're playing this tournament in the United States. He's come back after that, T11 at the Wyndham, tied for 9th in the FedEx. Just no drop-off this year. Ben Griffin has earned his way on this team with his play.
So I'm picking Matt Fitzpatrick here. The first time we did this, I don't think I even picked Fitzpatrick.
He wasn't even on the radar. He was playing so bad, he wasn't even on the radar.
So bad, not even on the radar, but he has completely turned that narrative around. He's playing fantastic now, and obviously his underlying skill set speaks for itself. Do all sorts of things when you have a putter that good, and he's decent enough distance too. I think he's a pretty much a shoo-in at this point, especially because he's rounding into.
Colin Morikawa is my next. Looper Island be going crazy. He had Mark Urbanek on the bag this week. Still 21st in the data golf rankings, still 7th in the world rankings, which just shows the world rankings are more relevant than ever. Finished tied for 22nd. I think this is sort of a JT pick from last year where he's getting it, a lot of it on name recognition, a lot of it on belief what he's done in this competition in the past, not as much on his current form, but I don't think they're leaving Colin at home.
No, I agree. Going with Ludwig, Oberg, whatever. I think it's funny, he played so poorly at the PGA and the US Open, he's sort of been sliding under the radar a little bit, but he's got 2 top 10s in his last 3 starts, and the only one that wasn't a top 10 was his top 25 at the Open. So, I mean, he's playing incredible. This is what happens when an elite player plays, quote-unquote, poorly, right? He's playing just fine. He's going to be such an asset at Bethpage and an unbelievably good course.
Crazy that I, talked about your guys' stalwarts, didn't even think about Ludwig, whereas, earlier in the year I said he was going to be the one who was going to unseat Scotty Scheffler as number 1 in the world. So you guys are absolutely stacked. My next pick is Justin Thomas, kind of the same situation as Colin. Not done much in the major season, not really done much recently, but he is Justin Thomas. He's playing better than he was when he got the pick a couple years ago. I think he's going to be on the team. And he has won a signature event this year and, almost won another one, so it hasn't been all bad.
Yeah, Bobby Mack is my next pick, which I believe we've got every player who played in the last Ryder Cup currently.
Hey, you guys got some consistency.
I mean, I don't really know what to say about Bobby Mack. His US Open, he's obviously a very good player. US Open kind of solidified his spot in the team once again.
I'm going with Keegan Bradley as number 10, but if there is one spot that I think is a little bit up for grabs, Keegan, after he won the Travelers, he's gone T41, T30, missed the cut, T44. So I think this is just a massive week coming up. The reason I still think he's going to play is they do seem to be preparing for that. He kind of let us in on that with talking about the new captain's agreement where he can sort of delegate some captain's responsibilities to assistant captains. Just the difference in the way he's talked about it. Before it was I'm focused on captaining, whatever this team needs to win. Now it's I've got these great vice captains and I never expected to be in this position, but then I won a tournament. I just think that Travelers sealed the deal, but we'll see. I'm still putting Keegan in.
I'm going Shane Lowry. I mean, kind of effectively a lock-in because of his relationship with Rory and obviously because of his passion for the Ryder Cup. He's an incredible player in itself, too. I don't want to...
don't say in his own right.
in his own right, he's a fantastic player. I always feel like around qualifying season, I want like 5% more from Shane Lowry in terms of playing, results. But again, one thing's for sure, I know that Shane Lowry is going to show up for the Ryder Cup. I mean, this guy's built.
He's built for it. He's super intense. I think there's probably a little bit of a lull after being home in Ireland for such a long time. The Open on the Irish island, and then comes back here for a couple of really hot weeks. But yeah, Shane's another guy who I don't think anyone has any doubts of what he brings to a team. I'm going with Sam Burns. This is the other spot. Our tail end is a little bit. I do think Burns is going to make it. He's got the relationship with Scotty. Scotty really loves Burns. They've played together. They've had success together, and he's an incredible putter, which putting is very important in match play. But it is a little bit of a limp in his last couple of results. T47 at the Scottish, T45 at the Open, T61 at 3M, tied for 28th last week. But the guys who might take his place, like a Finau, a Spieth, a Wyndham Clark, those guys, their seasons are done. So they're not going to be taking his place. So a huge week ahead for Sam Burns.
Yep, and then second to last, I got Sepp Straka, who's way up in my rankings earlier this season, but kind of tailed off partly because of his performance in the majors, which has just been a little disappointing. I would have thought he would have pushed on a little bit more this year. That said, I'm a big Sepp Straka.
It's like your favorite swing, isn't it?
Favorite swing on tour, absolutely. It's so good, little baby draws. I love it.
All right, my last one, and this spot is, I think, either going to be Cameron Young or Chris Goddard. Right now, it's Cameron Young. So he followed up the win with a solo fifth. And Goddard, a lot of this conversation is based off 2 really strong weeks. He won the Scottish Open and then had an incredible Open Championship. Cam Young's also had 2 really, really good weeks, but they're just more recent. And, I think there is going to be one tri-state person on this team. Get the New Yorkers behind him. Cameron Young is from not far away, from Bethpage Black. Just a big, big, big golf game on a big, big golf course. I think Cameron Young would be my last. I feel pretty solid about this team. I would not be surprised if these are the 12 that are going to Bethpage.
I was thinking of breaking the rules here and picking Chris Gotterup as my 12.
Because he's Danish?
He's Danish.
Okay, well, then give me Sepp Straka. We'll take the trade.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm instead going with Harry Hall, partly because, frankly, I don't think anybody else is showing anything. You got to show form.
The Højgaards aren't doing enough for you.
The Højgaards aren't doing anything. One of them's going to get in because he's so high up there, I think. But frankly, we need a European to step up here, and I'm rooting for a European to step up here, whether it's Matt Wallace, who I'd love to see, or a Højgaard. But Harry Hall's the only one coming close right now. In his last 10 starts, he's only finished outside the top 25 once, I believe.
Wow.
Couple top 10. So he's showing some level of consistency, and again, I consider this a bit more of a spot.
The fans would just straight up bully him with that hat, and I want to see it. So I'm absolutely here for it.
The funny hat wearers tend to do well in Ryder Cups too. He could be our Eamon Darcy.
There you go. Good stuff as always, Luke. I said this our last time doing it. We'll probably do another one. I don't know how I said that, but fantastic stuff as always. My man LKD over at Golf Digest. All right, fantastic show. We're gonna finish with our chirps from the gallery as we always do. We've got Torquay. Torquay's back at it. Torquay's back at it. Cue the music. We almost reached the zenith at one point, but just as we got there, the golf gods decided otherwise. They thought we could wait. Bigger things are coming to our team. Mito Pereira, the Titan from PK, has awoken. It all started clicking. He is unleashed. Sebastian Munoz, our silent soldier who never disappoints, is also at his peak. Carlos Ortiz Golf, the artist, the Oakmont survivor, is a tenacious athlete who feels golf more deeply than anyone. He had us at the edge of our seats again and will continue to do so. And Waco Neiman, the best player in Live Golf League, except for the standings maybe, he'll be back next week leading the pack, showing us why no one can ignore his dominant performance. Still, we rise. Torquay's been fantastic all year, this guy. My favorite this is that we're calling Carlos Ortiz the Oakmont survivor. Guy finishes top 5 in a U.S. Open at Oakmont, and he's just the Oakmont survivor forever.
I was going to ask you, what did he survive? Was there a lightning strike somewhere that he was nearby?
He survived a really difficult golf course for a solid finish in a major championship. He is the Oakmont survivor. Our next one, Scotty Holdridge on Tommy Justin. A lot of Tommy Fleetwood, Justin Rose memes because they had this picture they posted early in the week of them hanging out in Portugal. MI6 levels of espionage from Rose. Spending holiday with a guy weaving a web of trust just to rip his heart out in front of him. A lot of good memes. Tommy on vacation is just a vibe. I feel like he can go more for the center part, which he can't really do because he's wearing the hat. It looks fantastic. Aim point challenge. I saw this in my notes. I'm seeing a bunch of people just do an aim point in the wild, trying aim point to figure out if this line is gonna eat me or not. We saw last one using the aim point to try to split the G on the Guinness. I want you guys, yeah, there it is, trying to split the G with the aim point. I want you guys to start taking photos of you aim pointing non-golf things and tag me in them, and I think we're gonna get some funny ones. And then I just had this quick little thought. Yeah, there it is. Ben is trying to aim point his Zoom to make sure that he's centered in on the Zoom. Our last one. I just noticed this. So Justin Rose, I posted a tweet with a picture of him winning the tournament. Or fist pumping. Didn't even realize this, but still having, so he tucks his shirt into his left armpit as like a little training aid when he putts. To maintain that posture with the arm while you're fist pumping, that's a man who's practiced that. That's called muscle memory right now. That is a very, very tour move right there. Fantastic show. As always, we love you, Golf Sickos. Make sure to like, subscribe, leave us a review on Spotify, on Apple, on YouTube. It really does make a difference. We've been giving you guys, I think, awesome content this year, so show us some support. We're going to leave you with our clip of the week, which is Alex Bush's favorite person on the planet, Josh Allen, giving a guy some very cool news. We'll see you. I'm off to Baltimore. We'll see you for the watch along, and we'll see you next week back on Dan on Golf. Love you, Sickos.
Yeah, come on now. I'm stuck. Can we sign this for you? Yeah, please. I couldn't forget you, brother. How's the golf game going? Yeah? I got a question for you. I've got 2 tickets to the Ryder Cup. They're yours if you want. Yeah! Yeah! All right. All right. Let's go. Hey, we got a hat. We got a root Team USA on though, all right? Cool. Awesome. Oh, yeah,